Good morning. Barry Kornhauser here from the Ware Center in downtown Lancaster, and I'll be reading today Hanukkah with Mazel. But before I do, I just want to read a little bit from the liner notes, because it might give you a little bit of information to help you better understand some aspects of the story. The author writes, Hanukkah is a time for celebrating the triumph of light over darkness. The lighting of the menorah, which is a candelabra also known in Hebrew as the Hanukkah, is the central mitzvah or commandment of the holiday. After sundown on each of the 8 nights, one first lights the shamash, or sometimes called the shamash, which is servant in Hebrew. This is a candle that is set apart on the menorah. Then blessings are sung or recited, and the shamash is used to light the other candles from left to right, the number of candles corresponding to the specific night of the holiday. And another Hanukkah tradition is to eat foods fried in oil, symbolic of the oil in the ancient temple menorah that lasted for 8 days. Latkes, fried potato pancakes, are especially popular. And now we can begin. A Hanukkah with Mazel by Joel Edward Stein, illustrated by Alyssa Vavuri. Misha is a very good artist, but a very poor man. He lived by himself in a tiny cottage outside the village of Grodno. Few people in Grodno had enough money to buy his paintings, so Misha made do with very little. He lived on the few potatoes he grew in his yard and the milk he got from his old cow, Clara. Here's Misha. One winter night, when the winds howled and the snow blew around the windows, a little cat wandered into Misha's barn. She made her way to the stall where Clara was sleeping and curled up beside the cow for warmth. Clara didn't mind having a visitor, and she gave her approval with a low moo. In the morning, when Misha came to milk Clara, he saw the cat huddled in a corner of the stall, so weak she could hardly walk. My, what have we here? Misha said to the cat. Where did you come from? The cat looked up at him with her emerald green eyes. She seemed to sense that Misha was a kind man. You're so thin, Misha said in a soothing voice. Poor old Clara doesn't have much milk to give, but we can share. Misha took the cat back to his cottage and gave her a dish of milk. She weakly lapped it up and purred gratefully. It's a good thing you wandered in here, Misha said. I don't think you would have survived the cold night outside. The cat curled up on a blanket that Misha set down near the fireplace. Now get some rest and you'll feel better, said Misha to the cat. I think I'll call you Mazel. You're certainly a very lucky cat to have wandered out of the cold and into my barn. And Mazel is a Yiddish or Hebrew word for luck. In the afternoon, Misha brought Mazel another dish of milk. Oh, my cupboard is almost empty, said Misha. But tonight is the first night of Hanukkah, and I am making latkes. We will celebrate together. He went to his pantry where he found 2 potatoes and enough oil to fry the latkes. I'll grate the potatoes the way my grandmother taught me, Misha said to Mazel. We'll add a little oil to the pan, a little salt, a little pepper, and we'll have our Hanukkah latkes. And tonight, we must light the first Hanukkah candle. On the mantle, over the fireplace, stood a beautiful silver menorah with figures of 2 bold lions holding the 10 commandments. My grandfather made this wonderful menorah, Misha said to Mazel. I have no money for candles, so I don't know how we will light them, but Hanukkah is a time of hope. Suddenly, Misha had an idea. I may not have candles, he said to Mazel, but I am an artist, and an artist has paints. Misha took a fresh canvas and stood it on his easel. He dabbed his brush in the paint and made a bold stroke on the canvas. As Mazel watched, Misha painted a beautiful large menorah, just like the one that stood on the mantle. Then he painted all the candles, including the shamash. Now we're ready for Hanukkah. At sundown, when it was time to light the first Hanukkah candle, Misha sang the blessing as he painted one flame on the shamash and another flame on the first candle. Then he sat down to eat his latkes. He put one latke into Mazel's dish. Mazel gave a meow of approval and licked her whiskers. The next night, when Misha went to the easel to draw the next candle flame, he saw how little paint he had left. "We will have to make these paints last as long as we can, Mazel," he said. And by the fourth night of Hanukkah, Misha had run out of yellow paint. So he made do with a little blue, a little orange, and a little red. On the eighth night, Misha sang the blessing and used the last drops of paint to make the final flame. Pretty much like the one pot of oil lasted for 8 days on Hanukkah in the origin story. The next afternoon, there was a knock at the door. Through the window, Misha could see the horse and wagon of a peddler. He opened the door to greet a small man with a big smile. "Shalom, shalom," the man said cheerfully. "I'm Meyer the merchant, and I sell many things. Perhaps I have something you would like to buy." "Well, I'd love to see what you have," said Misha, "but I have no money to buy your goods." "Well, perhaps you have something you can trade then," suggested Meyer, peeking around the door. Misha smiled. "I am an artist, and an artist has paintings." He led Meyer inside and showed him his paintings. Meyer looked at scenes from Misha's childhood and paintings of Jewish holidays and weddings. A portrait of a little cat caught his eye. "These are wonderful," said Meyer. They heard a loud meow as the cat scampered toward them, purring loudly. "Goldie, is it really you?" exclaimed Meyer, scooping Mazel into his arms. "Goldie?" Misha looked from Mazel to Meyer. "Oh yes, I have had her since she was a tiny kitten," said Meyer. "A few nights ago while I was asleep, she must have jumped out of the wagon. I've been looking for her." "So that means Mazel is Goldie," cried Misha. Meyer looked confused. "Mazel?" "Oh, I found her in my barn one morning," Misha explained. "She was very weak, so I took her in and cared for her. She was lucky to find my barn, and I was lucky to find her." "Yes, I see now why you named her Mazel," said Meyer. "She certainly was lucky." Misha tried to smile. Mazel had become his good friend, but now he realized that she would have to go back to her owner. Meyer turned to the paintings. "You have quite a collection here," he said. "I especially like that wonderful menorah painting on the easel. I know many people who would be interested in buying paintings like these. Would you be interested in selling them?" "Oh, of course," said Misha, and he helped Meyer load the paintings into the wagon. "You know," Meyer said, "I'm on the road a lot, and I wonder if you would do me a small favor. Could you take care of Goldie, Mazel, for me?" A broad smile appeared on Misha's face. "That is not a favor," he said. "That is a gift." Mazel weaved back and forth between Misha's and Meyer's legs, purring happily. Meyer climbed up on his wagon. He waved to Misha and Mazel as he drove away, slowly away. "I'll be back," he shouted. "Happy Hanukkah to both of you, and happy holidays to all of you." The end.